Welcome back to Through the Birds. This week we're in New Zealand. Each week we are going to countries chosen by followers, so leave a comment below where you think we should go next. We have already been to France, and this week we focused on New Zealand and the birds and conservation efforts in the country. Starting off once again with the national bird, for this week, New Zealand's got the kiwi. This is a bird that is small and flightless with underdeveloped wings. These birds are currently endangered and have heavy conservation efforts because they do not want the national bird to go extinct. These birds were known in the Maori tribe for being hidden treasures of the god of the forest. As the population decreased of the kiwi, the rise of images and symbolism began for the bird to represent the country more as a whole. Kiwis have become a trademark for many businesses and government-run organizations. Since the national bird is the kiwi, it's important that the bird is on many different seals and symbols across the country. These birds are extremely susceptible to threats in their environment because they're small and very round with underdeveloped wings. They are very vulnerable to injuries involving crushing, and they're very vulnerable to animals like dogs and cats and ferrets and stoats. But since the kiwi is the icon of the country, they are more protected, and conservationists are very focused on making sure that these birds are not going to go extinct. This week I found two things of note within New Zealand news regarding birds. First, this week announced the winner of New Zealand's Bird of the Year contest, and the winner of that contest this year was the yellow-eyed penguins. These penguins are currently endangered, and conservationists hope this win brings attention to the birds. Over the past 15 years, there has been a 78% drop in their population, and are currently only 163 mating pairs remaining to this day. These changes are linked to human impact and climate change. Overfishing has become a big issue for these birds because they go offshore to find food, and because humans are fishing in extreme amount, the birds must now venture further offshore to find their food and risk much more dangers going that far out. Another piece of news I found this week was the threat of a strain of bird flu making its way to New Zealand. A new strain of H5H1 has been making its way from South America to the Antarctic, and it heavily impacts shorebirds, and it's expected to travel to New Zealand next. Luckily, the country has warning and has already started its efforts to minimize the harm by giving vaccines to birds. Vaccinating the birds proves a challenge because birds must be caught 3 times to fully become vaccinated. 2 of these are for vaccination. 1 of them is for blood work on the bird. It's a very risky effort to try to vaccinate as many birds as possible, but it's crucial before the disease arrives to prevent as much damage as this disease could cause. Lastly, one of our followers asked us to cover the kakapo bird. Upon research of this beautiful bird, I found that they are also an endangered bird. A handful of them have been taken into a sanctuary in hopes of conservation efforts because of the dangers in natural environments to these birds. However, some of these birds have been escaping, and the researchers do not quite know how. These birds are very clever and escape the 8,310 acre sanctuary, and because it's unclear of how the birds are escaping, the monitoring of these birds has expanded exponentially to ensure their safety and conservation. That's all for this week. I had a really good time learning about New Zealand birds and their conservation efforts and prevention of these birds going extinct. If you guys have a country you want to visit next week, please let me know in the comments below. And follow my Instagram and TikTok, where I will be posting throughout the week of my discoveries while I research these birds. See you next week.